I'm Mark Rafel, the Economic Development Coordinator for the county, and I am the lead person from the county for this program, which is the Fayette County Infrastructure Bank. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a great turnout. We had a great event. We had a great turnout last year and a great success last year. So at this time, I'm going to ask for some comments from our commissioners. Commissioner Vacides, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Just
welcome, everybody. Glad you could make it today. I think it shows by the crowd in this room that the infrastructure bank is starting to gain momentum. We had a great first round. I think it was $8.5 million we were able to loan out. I think people are just learning more about it and now getting really focused on the interest that they have with this. Sorry. And, it's just wonderful that it's catching on. And I think it's really going to help Fayette County long term. With any kind of infrastructure growth that we have, obviously, that's a spoke in the will of economic development. And I think it'll make a difference in our efforts to revitalize Fayette County, whether it's whatever type of infrastructure project it is, water, sewage, what are the others?
really anything infrastructure.
Anything infrastructurally,
roads,
but
roads, we can do
bridges,
stabilization of walls.
So, it's an improvement. It'll enhance things, and we're excited that we're able to play a role in it. We were fortunate. We got to know Muss and his crew. They had implemented this in Dauphin and Butler County, and they're really doing well with it. And we think that Fayette County will be the same in the long run. And so there's only 3 counties in Pennsylvania that are doing this, and we're one of them. We're a leader in this. And 4? 4 now. Okay, now there's another one snuck in there. Venango, they got in too. That's good. And you're going to see more. You're probably going to, for not too distant future, be in double digits in how many counties because it works and it's a good concept. And all the commissioners are infrastructure focused. We want to see that growth, and this is our tool to be able to do that. So that's all I have to say. We're going to keep pushing this program, and hopefully we'll get more and more larger loans each time and be able to continue to maximize our efforts with infrastructure. Thank you.
Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you. So I was this is going to be a little visual. I was standing next to Muss in Harrisburg and talking to him about this program, and the commissioner from Butler County walked up. I didn't even ask him the question. I just went like this. And he said, "You're an idiot if you don't do this." And so that's kind of where we started. It's great to partner with you guys. There's a lot of infrastructure work that needs done in Fayette County and in your communities. And this is kind of a combination where we're all going to benefit from this. This is another tool in your toolbox that you can use. You can use this as a match. There are no federal or state ties to this money. So, as you're getting a grant from whomever, there are no ties to this money. This can be your match money. And so what we're trying to do is leverage that money and make the money that's in Fayette County go farther so that we can do more projects. And there's no other program that allows for this amount of infrastructure that possible, between the county and the municipalities and the authorities partnering up. So as Vince said, we're kind of excited about it. We're all focused on it. We recognize that we need the infrastructure in Fayette County to continue to build. So with that, I thank you all for coming out, and we will get the show started.
So I got to tell you, this isn't just a county effort. The county really stepped up and went out and sought the best of the best. And one of the first person they brought, and y'all heard his name, they called him Muss. His real name is Mike Musser. He works for CRG. They're a consulting firm. They're the ones that did this first in Dauphin County. So I'm going to ask Mike to come up and introduce the rest of the team, who some of the folks you'll actually have to talk to and receive emails from. Others you won't, but they're working on your behalf to make sure that we get the loans that we need at the rates that are going to help you guys and help the county. Just to let you know, the county does subsidize these loans by 1.5%. So I can't tell you what the interest is going to be until we know exactly how much we're going after, and then the county will know. They'll knock that 1.5 off of the interest rate for you, which the county is paying that out of their coffers, which they're not using taxpayer dollars either. They're using grant funds that they received a while back. So without any further ado, Mike Musser, also known as Muss.
Thank you. Well, thank you, guys. I remember over a year and a half ago when we started this program, we met up at Penn State and had a big crowd, and it's good to see the same kind of crowd today, and that the Infrastructure Bank was successful in its first round. A lot of times in the first round of an Infrastructure Bank across the Commonwealth, the rounds were pretty small. You guys had a really nice first round, which showed the interest of the communities. Having 5 applicants in the round was important. I believe 3 authorities and 2 municipalities, so it's good to see you guys all back again. The other thing I'd like to say is, and not just because I'm up here, but we should give a round of applause to the commissioners, because the reason there's only 4 in the state is some of the counties all see the need for it. It's just a matter of putting the set aside every year to subsidize that interest rate, which they're not just subsidizing, they're subsidizing for that round and for future rounds, and I think we should give them a round of applause for thinking forward. So I'll just give you a quick, 30-second summary of the infrastructure banks and then introduce the rest of the team and let Jeff and Jamie and Joe take over. But we started the first one in 2014 in Dauphin County. We worked jointly with HRG on all 4 of the infrastructure banks. It was the first one, not only in the state, but in the nation with a governmental entity. So Pennsylvania was first with that. Then we did Butler County, Fayette County, and Venango County. All been successful. All are going into their second, some of them in their 7th or 8th rounds of this. And it's really helped, especially as you guys know, you're going out there to borrow money now. It's very expensive to borrow money, so the 1.5% subsidy is really important to get the projects done. So without further ado, so Jeff McKissick is with HRG. We work along with him. My counterpart who couldn't be here today, Katie Conter, and I, it'll usually be us 3 and Mark that'll sit, and Sam with some of the pre-application meetings. That's going over your project, making sure everything's in line, making sure it qualifies, timeline, budget, making sure all the estimates are accurate so that when we're submitting a number to the finance team, the review, and the commissioners, everything's in line. And then Jamie and Joe really kind of, once we close the round out, which will be the end of May if you look at your timelines there, and we close it out, then we start to make recommendations to the commissioners and everything like that. The finance team really steps in almost immediately. They want to make sure your reimbursement resolutions are in order, all the ordinances you have to pass, everything, make sure they have all your financial documents, everything they're going to need, because they have to still put you through the LAGUDA process at the state level. So they jump in. We kind of step back a little bit, re-enter when the recommendations are made, and then you'll start to see me and again during the process when we open up the 3rd round once the 2nd round is successful. So I'll turn it over to Jeff from HRG. And Jeff, do you want to come on up?
Okay, thank you, Muss. I'm going to speak on the process and timeline for what we're calling the 2023 funding round. But before I do that, I'm just going to touch on, Muss had touched on it already a little bit, but just a quick summary of the 2022 funding round. Again, $8.5 million was the borrowing amount. There were 5 applicants, 3 authorities, 2 municipalities. The projects stem from roadway and storm sewer infrastructure and also water wastewater infrastructure. The Interest rate from the bank was 4.24%, with the 1.5% subsidy passed on was 2.74% to the borrowers. So with that, I'm just going to kind of go over the 2023 funding round, which the process and timeline starts today with this press conference here today. And then moving on, there is a mandatory pre-application meeting that will stem from March through April and close on May 1st will be the deadline for that mandatory pre-app. This pre-app is an opportunity for both the applicant the applicant and the infrastructure bank team to get an understanding of the project scope, the project estimate, and answer any questions. Really the process, to take a step back, starts with the eligible applicants. And again, an eligible applicant is a municipality and an authority within the county that has an eligible project. Again, those eligible projects are construction, reconstruction, non-routine maintenance of transportation, water, wastewater, stormwater, and broadband within the county. Following the pre-application meeting, applications will be due May 31st. After the applications, there are several attachments with that application, like detailed project scope, detailed project estimate. The estimate and the borrowing can include soft costs, so your engineering, your right-of-way, your utilities can also be rolled into that borrowing. Once the applications are all submitted, they are reviewed by the project team, and then the advisory board will meet to review those applications and then provide recommendations to the commissioners for approval. And we're looking at sometime in June, the commissioners meeting in June, to make those recommendations to get them to the commissioners, have the commissioners approve the 2023 applicants, and then at that same time, they will authorize the finance team to go out for bank RFP. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, who's going to kind of take the back end of the process from the bank RFP down to closing.
Good morning, everyone. As Jeff mentioned, my name is Jamie Ferreira. I'm with the law firm of Dinsmore and Scholl. We're based out of Pittsburgh. We have been the county's bond counsel for a number of years now, and we also serve as the counsel for the Fayette County Infrastructure Bank. So kind of going forward in the process, once you've been accepted, you'll be notified, and then you'll receive an email from me, and it's going to lay out some of the information that we're going to need from the municipalities and the authorities moving forward. We're going to want to know things like your outstanding debt that you have already. If you're a municipality, we need your total revenues, those types of information, so that we can prepare the appropriate filings. So for our municipality applicants, once you're accepted, you will need to pass an ordinance at one of your regularly scheduled meetings, and then we will have to go through the DCED process with the Local Government Unit Debt Act. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, once a municipality wants to borrow funds, you have to get the state's approval through DCED before we can close. So that's kind of a critical part in the process. And what we're here for is to make the applicant's process, we want this to go as smoothly as possible for you. So we will provide drafts of documents for you. We will do the applicable filings that need to be done. We will draft closing documents and your loan documents for participation in the loans. And then we work closely, municipalities and authorities, we work closely with your solicitors to make sure that they're in the loop and that they can keep you all in the loop as to what's going on as we're moving forward with the process. We do a lot of work in Fayette County, so we do know many of the solicitors already and have great working relationships with them. For our authorities, once you're accepted into the program, you will also need to pass a resolution at your meeting. And then for our authorities as well, you may be required to have a guarantee for the funding. So those guarantees come from your incorporating entities. So we will need their contact information, and we will reach out to them as well because they play a role in this process also. So just in terms of timing, there'll be a lot of paper moving as we go through the process. But once you're accepted, which will be in June, it kind of goes a two-prong approach. We'll be working with you as the municipalities and the authorities, and then the county will also be working to get the bank loan finalized on their end. So when you get accepted, we will not have the interest rate solidified yet. We'll be working through the bank loan process. All in all, we are looking to close everything out by October. So in terms of receiving funding, you can expect to be able to make the first draws on your loans at your October, it's estimated, your October closing. If you have costs that are being incurred before that, please let us know during the application process, because we'll want to make sure that your municipality or authority is doing a reimbursement resolution, and there is a draft of that resolution in your application packet, so that we can make sure that any costs that you're incurring now in anticipation of your projects can be covered and reimbursed with the proceeds from the financing. So at this point, I think I know there was a lot of information, but I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Jamie. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. What I want to do now is bring up someone who actually has participated in this. Kenny Martre is the, he's in charge of North Fayette Municipal Water Authority. Kenny came in to us, and it was funny because he brought in $2 million worth of projects. But when he left the room, he left with $4.5 million worth of money because he had other projects already designed, but he didn't know if he could apply for those. So we added money to you, Kenny. So why don't you tell everybody how easy the process is?
The process was very easy. We came in with a game plan to get $2.9 million for our water treatment plant. We're doing upgrades down there. Well, after we went into the meeting, we had other projects that we were doing. We actually had one out to bid, one we was designing, and we started talking about them also. So by the time we left there, we actually rolled them 2 other projects into the 2.9, and we actually walked out of there with $4.5 million worth of money. And it made a big difference to us there. The rates were a lot better than what we could go get, and then with the 1.5%, what do you call that? Subsidy, it made a big difference when it come down to paying the loans. As for all the paperwork, it was kind of new. We didn't know what to expect, and the team really helped us out. They wrote everything up for us. They gave it to us. All we had to do was just put it through our meetings and get it passed, and it was very easy.
Thanks, Kenny. Yep. And they did do part of their project was design, and when we closed with them, we handed them a check for $13,000 for their engineering costs that they already incurred. So there's everything it involves in this is reimbursable. So don't think that it's not. The good thing, if you want to sit, you can go ahead and have a seat if you're done. Thank you. The good thing is you don't have to use it for a whole project. If you're out getting a grant, you can use this as a match. Or if you think you're going to go out after a grant, you can ask us for the full amount, but only borrow the part for the grant, because it's a drawdown. We don't write you a big check and say, we do whenever we take a picture, but we don't write you a real check that's for the whole amount until you spend it. So that, or until you actually had the work done. So that's where we're at with that. Do we have any questions? Wait.
Just my only comment would be, if you're using this as part of a grant, you want to make sure that you are fulfilling the requirements of the grant as well. So just because we're telling you, hey, you can reimburse this, or you can start on your project, that grant might be telling you that you can't do that. So you need to be mindful of what the grant is telling you as well. So just a little bit of a warning there.
Yeah,
so
very true. Any questions? Mr. Nipolver.
Mark, has there been any joint applications, municipal and an authority, municipality and an authority going together to do a joint application, or a municipality and say a water company to do a project? Is there such a thing with this?
We have not had that in the first round. We did have, like they said, a municipal authority that was covered by 2 different municipalities. So those 2 municipalities had to also pass ordinances and things like that. So yes, that's been done, but not to the point where two different groups came in for the same funding,
Not as a co-borrower.
not as a co-borrower. I don't know, is that, Jamie, I'm going to defer to you on that one.
We haven't seen it yet in other, we've heard talk of it in other infrastructure banks, but, certainly depending on the scope of the project, I think we can work and accommodate, for that type of project.
So two municipalities with common goals,
Yes, they could, I would think they could.
Yeah, they could
sewage
be-
project or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
they could be co-borrowers.
Okay.
Bill?
Two questions, actually. Should the application be submitted for local match only? You have a municipality with three grant FCIB now already issued guaranteed letters. So if I got 200,000 in match that I need to come up with, how would that play out through the app process? You say that money would be available in October.
Correct. And as long as you have guaranteed money coming, then yeah, I would just apply for what the match is. Plus, let me put it this way, plus all closing costs, because the closing costs are built into your end of the loan.
Next thing.
Yes.
I know if you could predict this, you'd be the smartest man in the room. But you were 4 3/4 last year, any projection this year?
Okay, as you know, you've known me for many years and I'm not the smartest man in the room, so. We're expecting it to go. Joe, I think this would be something that you can talk about the trend of the economy right now, because that's what all this depends on.
When we were at Penn State, it was subsidized and they cut it down to 3/4%. Now, it's going to be subsidizing here by 2 3/4.
No, we were still subsidizing 1.5,
Yeah,
but the rate at that
Yeah,
time
exactly.
was 2 1/4. So the rates have gone up since then.
And I guess that's where I'm going with this, are we looking at another 1.5, which basically eats up your subsidy?
And I don't have that answer because, you said it right. If I could predict that, I wouldn't be standing here.
Just to make sure, whatever that rate is in the future, whether it goes up or whether it goes down, we're subsidizing 1.5% of that. So if the rate goes up to 6%, the loan from the infrastructure bank would be 4.5. You would pay 4.5 and we pay 1.5. So what?
Where you get the subsidy from? Where's that money coming from?
Sorry?
Where's the subsidy money coming from?
It's-
Match?
It's either coming from our general fund through
Debt services.
debt service and things like that. But, I mean, it is Fayette County taxpayer dollars.
No, but is it getting replenished though? Is there a way so it's not going to, run out at the point?
I don't think we're going to run out. I mean, I understand what you're saying. So it's not a revolving loan where when you pay it, it goes back. Every tranche is going to be different.
Correct. And I can tell you that last year when we got the loan from the bank, our number was lower than the rate that they were giving it to everyone else. And we are very competitive. We went out, and I can tell you the local banks are really wanting to see a change in our community, so they're really stepping up. And Somerset Trust was our bank last year. So we're hoping they'll do the same thing, and other banks will step on board too. Any other questions?
What's the timeline for the repayment?
Good question. So you can pick 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 20. So we try to help you as much as we can to make it so it's not a big burden on you all 1 year. And you do make 2 payments a year. It's not a monthly payment, it's twice a year. Any other questions? Wow, it's awesome. So does everybody understand the program? And who's applying? Who's going to apply? I got one. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. There's coffee and donuts over there if you want them. And the restrooms are out the hall and to the right and to the right. Probably should have told you that before we started. Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.